All right, ladies and gents. So Iran shot several ballistic missiles at Israel. As far as we know, no casualties were reported, and that is in response to Israel continuing its attacks in Lebanon. America's trying to broker a ceasefire with Iran. Iran's condition is that Israel pulls out of Lebanon, which Israel is not willing to do. Trump tried to get Israel to not retaliate after the missiles sent Israel's way, and Israel said, fuck that. We need to retaliate. So they attacked a few weapons depots, and as of now, there seems to be a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. So we're going to respond to a breaking points video. Let's go.
Morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Crystal?
Indeed, we do. A whole lot of breaking news this morning in the Middle East. Iran struck Israel. Israel retaliated, even though Trump told them not to. We will let you know what we can figure out about where things stand this morning. So if you will rewind, if you will, to last week, you'll recall that Sagar and I brought to you the news that supposedly Israel and Lebanon had a ceasefire. This was very significant because Iran has always said Lebanon needs to be included in the ceasefire, and there is no ceasefire if Lebanon is not included. However, almost immediately, Hezbollah came out and said, we don't agree to this because this includes the IDF remaining in Lebanon and forces our withdrawal. So they continue to fire on northern Israel. Israel continued to fire at Lebanon and Beirut in particular. And Iran, rather than standing back and watching this and effectively, looking like they're not good to their word and that this is an important red line, did something quite extraordinary here. And they decided to go ahead and strike inside of Israel for the first time in quite a while. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Trey Yingst, Fox News correspondent who was on the ground there as this was unfolding.
This is breaking news. Iran is launching a missile attack against Israel as we speak. Sirens are currently sounding across the northern city of Haifa, Israel's third largest city. We will be live on Fox News with this update. We do expect more information shortly. But again, these launches are coming from Iranian territory and are in response to the Israeli strikes against the Lebanese capital of Beirut earlier today.
So Israel, of course, looking for any excuse to get back to war making. They do not want any sort of a deal to resolve this war between the U.S. and Israel versus Iran. However, Trump came in and told a number of reporters immediately that he did not want Netanyahu and Israel to retaliate. Let's go ahead and put A4 up on the screen here. This is from Barak Ravid, of course, one of Trump's favorite reporters on these matters. He spoke with Trump on the phone. Trump said the Iranian strikes did not hurt anybody. Hopefully, Israel is not going to retaliate. If Bibi strikes them back, it's just going to keep going like the last 47 years or the last 3,000 years. I don't know what he's talking about there. Trump added, we are very close to a final deal with Iran. It is going to be a good deal. I don't want it to blow up because of what is happening now and stressed. I'm going to call Bibi right now, which reporting says he did, and tell him not to retaliate. Each of them had their fun. Israel had its strike and Iran had its strike. We don't need another one. He also spoke with the Financial Times. Let's put the next element up on the screen here as well. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will have no choice but to accept whatever deal the U.S. negotiates with Iran, Donald Trump said, because the U.S. president, quote, calls the shots. He won't have any choice, Trump told the FT in a telephone interview. I call the shots. I call all the shots. He does not call the shots. So Iran strikes Israel. The president comes out and says to numerous reporters, I do not want Israel to retaliate, and I call the shots, and I'm in charge. Lo and behold, what happened next? Israel went ahead and retaliated. We can put this.
Yes, no shit, they retaliated. No shit. It's not that complicated. It is not that hard to understand. America wants Israel to stop in Lebanon because America wants the war with Iran to stop. The reality is Israel needs to finish what it starts. If any of these leaders in the West give a solitary fuck about actually solving conflict, which I highly question, if they actually want to solve the conflict, they need to give Israel the ability, without getting in its way, to finish the wars that it gets into. Wars, mind you, that it didn't start, but that it must finish. Otherwise, it is going to be in a perpetual state of war. Israel needs to finish off the proxies, and then they need to behead the snake, which is Iran. If America keeps getting in the way, then nothing changes. Breaking Points doesn't understand that. I quite frankly don't think they care to understand it. I think they simply, I wouldn't say they support Iran, but they don't, the people on this platform do not want to be in war at all. They don't understand war. They don't understand foreign policy. They don't understand military strategy. They really don't understand. This lady here definitely doesn't. This guy with the glasses, I really don't think does either. And they see this very surface level. And so I enjoy responding to these breaking points videos because they get a ton of views. And it's really interesting how they see everything ass backwards. Let's continue.
Next element, A to B, up on the screen here. You can see the VO there on the side, the video of some of the strikes inside of Iran. Drop site says Israel strikes targets across Iran. The Israeli Air Force has struck sites in western and central Iran with explosions reported across multiple cities. The IDF said in an initial statement it had struck, quote, military targets belonging to the Iranian terror regime in western and central Iran, adding details would follow. Iranian state broadcasting confirming multiple explosions in Tehran, Tabriz, and Isfahan. The scale and impact of the strikes remain unclear. Next element here, A to D, we get confirmation here from the IDF. Several infrastructure sites, this is from the IDF, at the petrochemical complex in Mashhar in southwestern Iran. These facilities were used by the armed forces of the Iranian terror regime to produce and export raw materials for weapons production. The targeted infrastructure produced unique materials that serve as critical components for the development of ballistic missiles. So confirmation from both the IDF and from the Iranians that Israel did in fact retaliate within Iran against this petrochemical facility, and Iran in response sent several more missiles into Israel. We can intercept all of these. Yes. It does not look that that was the case. So the very latest after all of this unfolded this morning is Trump had this to say on Truth Social. Both sides, Israel and Iran, are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Final negotiations on peace, in quotes, are proceeding, subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way. The blockade will remain in place and in full force and effect until a final deal is reached. Things should move quickly. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump, of course.
I like Donald Trump, but Donald Trump doesn't really understand military strategy. Funny enough, he's of the belief that might is right. He's an excellent negotiator. He's an excellent businessman. He understands human psychology. He understands power dynamics. He's a smart guy. He's a businessman, and in many respects, he makes an excellent leader. The issue is he's not Bibi in the same way that Bibi understands military strategy on a deep level. Bibi was a commander in the #1 special unit in the IDF, Sayeret Matkal. He was in war, he was shot in war, and he deeply understands the Middle East. It's a different animal. So President Trump, in many respects, is following the lead of Bibi, not in the sense where Bibi tells him what to do, but in the sense where Donald Trump knows that Bibi simply is a lot more knowledgeable on how all of this plays out. So, you know, the Donald doesn't want to lose his supporters. He doesn't want to lose his voter base. At the same time, he understands what's going on. He's not a stupid guy. And if he actually supports Israel, being that Israel is the United States' #1 ally, he wants things to kind of go as they are. He understands the importance of defeating Hezbollah and not allowing Iran to get nukes. But the challenge is that Americans, many, especially younger Americans, are putting tremendous pressure on President Trump to get out of the war, stop the fighting. And there's a dilemma here. I believe that it's in America's interest to help Israel make sure that Iran cannot defeat it, because Israel is, in many respects, a proxy of the United States. I've reiterated many times, I want Israel to get off military aid from the United States. I think it does Israel much more harm than good. And clearly, many Americans are growing. There's a growing opposition to the aid, although it benefits America immensely. And I would implore you to go and check out Nick Mitau's Instagram page. He posted a part 1 and a part 2. If you're not familiar with him, it's NickMatau. He is a non-Jewish pro-Israel advocate. He is very knowledgeable. So you can go scroll through his feed and you will see part 1 and part 2 about the tremendous benefit that America gets from partnering with Israel and how this 3.8 billion a year has been a massive, massive, massive pro for the American economy. So I would implore you guys to check that out, since everyone likes to say that America gains nothing. On the contrary, they gain massively by doing so, but Israel does not. Let's continue.
What this proves definitively is that the U.S. does not have the current capability under the Trump policy to actually restrain Israeli action. If he's going to explicitly say they can't strike and they do strike anyways, this proves two things. He's either feckless and useless, and or he greenlit the strike otherwise. By the way, just to make very, very clear.
No, so the thing is interesting. Trump wants to stop the war because Trump is in his second term, and he's not going to be president for much longer. So it's in his best interest to do what he said he was going to do prior to his reelection, which is to end wars. So that's what he's focused on doing. That doesn't serve Israel. Israel doesn't want to be in war. The last thing Israel wants to do is go to war. Although these people on breaking points will have you believe that Israel just loves war. It's the most ridiculous thing. Israel just understands that they need to fight wars, but every time they try to fight wars, Western countries get in the way. And so Israel, hopefully, I fucking hope, understands that it actually has to finish the wars they start. It actually has to accomplish the goals of the wars so that they don't have to fight wars, hopefully, for a very long time. These people don't get that. They see things on such a micro level. They don't see the bigger picture, you know? Or rather, a macro level. They don't see things on a micro level. They're not looking at things deeply enough. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, baby.
And that's what backstops this entire thing, is that cost-benefit analysis is predicated on cost. Israel has no cost. And so we should create a scenario where they have cost. All Trump has to do is say, I'm not defending you anymore. And let's see what the skies of Israel look like when U.S. THAAD and Patriot missiles are no longer shooting down the vast majority. Let's see how long they can actually last on their own. Good luck.
I'll tell you what would happen. What would actually happen is that Israel would have to go much harder in Iran. Because if Iran felt emboldened, if America said, theoretically, tomorrow, we're not going to back you, Israel, we're out, you're on your own, what would happen? Iran would either do one of two things. Either Iran would say, you know what? I don't really want to know what Israel's going to do. Their back's against the wall. They're a tiny country. Maybe we shouldn't sacrifice potentially millions of civilians. Or, you know what? Fuck our civilians. This is an opportunity to obliterate Israel. Israel's going to go full fucking apocalypse. They don't have a choice. Israel has hundreds of nukes. Iran's not going to win it. Like, Iran could shoot thousands of ballistic missiles. Israel will literally nuke Iran, and Iran knows that. The reality is America is not helping Israel win. America is restraining Israel from doing really, really bad things because it wouldn't have a choice. It's very simple. If Hezbollah disarmed and Iran said, Israel, we are done fighting with you. We are not going to fund proxies anymore. Let's leave each other alone. The war would end now. Now. If they said, we're done, we don't want any more problems. You live where you live, we live where we live. It's over. That would be it. But it's not the case. That's what they don't understand here. And Israel has the ability, with its nukes, to do much more than what happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That I can tell you for a certainty. Much worse, if they had to. Okay? And if they had to, they would have to. They're not going to sacrifice their own people for the Iranians. They don't want to. Many Iranians support Israel at this point. But without American support, if Iranians have the balls to say, oh, it's time to go all in on actually doing the thing we've chanted to do and we teach our kids to chant in school, which is death to America, death to Israel. So Iran is lucky. Iran is lucky that America is quote unquote trying to restrain Israel. That's the reality. That's the craziest part. It's funny because I know if I was arguing with the two people on this show, they'd be like, "Oh, wow, are you talking about restrain?" Yes, yeah. All right, folks. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some important information. Would love to hear what you think in the comments. If you agree with my points, if you disagree with them, if you have any additional points that you feel I could and should have made. If you aren't subscribed to this channel, ladies and gents, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and for all of your South Florida real estate needs, I would love to be of assistance. You can follow me at Rafi the Realtor on Instagram. Sign up for my weekly newsletter as well. And of course, if you are interested in supporting the channel, you can do so by sending me a coffee, a donation in the Buy Me a Coffee link. I hope that you tune into the next one. Peace